Hey, good Monday morning to you. It's good to see you, and I'm certainly glad to be back with you again this week. So, do you remember back when you were a kid and at times during PE class that it would be necessary to break into teams to compete at whatever you were going to do that day? And do you remember that typically the coach would pick the two best athletes from the class to be the captains, one from each team? And those captains would then go about picking their teams from the rest of the class. Well, for many of us boys, that was an excruciating process as our deepest fear was being one of the last to be chosen, or even worse, more devastating, the last to be chosen. Maybe you can relate. The unspoken message to those of us that were late bloomers was simple and loud and clear, and it's this: you don't measure up, you don't have what it takes. Now, for girls, I think the fear was more about not being accepted into the right girl group. But either way, whether a boy or a girl, the feeling of rejection at those times was deep and undeniable. But here's the thing: it doesn't end in childhood, does it? And the ordeal of being chosen or not chosen lasts throughout your whole life. I mean, think about it: things like college, relationships, jobs, social groups are just a few of the examples where you're either chosen or you're not chosen. So, what's the takeaway for today? Well, it's a virtual certainty that there are going to be times in your life where you're not chosen, and likely many times where you're not chosen. And I'm sure I don't have to tell you that if you're not careful, you can allow not being chosen to suck the life right out of you. Unfortunately, I feel like there are too many people in the world today that continue to look to the world for a sense of belonging when it's actually the world that's rejecting you. Yeah. Today, I just want to suggest that you look to the only one who has promised never to reject you and who will always choose you, and that's Almighty God. So here's your call to action. This week, or literally any time you're feeling a little low because you feel like you've been passed over or not chosen, I want you to go grab a copy of the Owner's Manual of Life, which is the Bible. And then I want you to turn to the New Testament book of Ephesians, chapter 1, and read the first 14 verses of that chapter. And if that doesn't convince you that God chooses you, then go to the Old Testament book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, and read verse 5. But here's the thing: never forget that because God is love, in his eyes, you'll always measure up and you'll always be part of the right group. And the reason is because God chooses you. All right, that's a wrap for today. I hope that will help build you up. And this week, I hope you'll be the reason somebody has a good week. And until next time, I want to encourage you to stay strong, keep the faith. We'll see you then.